everybody know just exactly what they are about. And they're going to try and do that again here, no doubt, onto Chalet. And everyone's prediction was correct. Wild are going to be starting off here on the attack.
All right, let's get into it and see if Wild will be able to continue their momentum. As we talked about before, this map looking a little bit stronger on the stats page for Team Liquid overall, but as well, we saw some prowess coming out from them on that previous map as well, and we all know how that worked out. So we'll have to see if those statistics hold themselves to be true. The ban so far looking fairly similar to what we saw on the previous map, obviously with the variation of Thatcher now being added in. He was left in the pool for the previous map, but we're still going to have that target ban coming in from Wild, and a Zofia. Valkyrie will be their defender ban this time, though, as again, she could be far too useful here, especially with the amount of prop clutter that can be seen on the upper parts of this map. Clash actually will get banned out by Liquid, though, and a little bit of a response ban to what we were seeing from Wild towards the end of that map.
I kind of like the Clash ban. I'm a little bit about that. I think it's a good idea. I think it's good to...
A second time shouldn't come to bear. And of course, that position could be incredibly crucial in areas like the outside of the dining room, upstairs, in that similar spot in the hallway here too. We could see that Clash come to pretty big prowess inside of these rounds, so more likely gonna end up being a smart decision from Liquid. We'll have to wait and see, though, as Kaneo gonna be bringing an interesting pick here on attacker. Repick, have not seen a whole lot of the play from Sense yet. A lot of teams have been toying with it, but at least from my experience in casting, haven't seen a whole lot of it work out just yet. Let's see if Wild's take on it will find success.
I'll be honest, Blue, that lineup terrifies me. There is not a hard breacher, there is not a can opener. There is an Amaru, a Lion, a Finker, a Sense, and then a Sledge, because why not? This, it's going to be something. That much is clear. It's going to be an execute. They're going to look to try and get a plan down. They've obviously made that decision based off the info that they've gained off the drones inside of that prep phase. They're going to be attacking into kitchen and dining. And it looks as though Liquid, they've largely left that site unoccupied.
This is going to be interesting, too, considering that Wild already with players downstairs in the basement looking for a quick hop to the inside of it. The Sense line going to go down here and allow for Jay to sneak himself through, using the Amaru here as well for the G8 more than anything, but he's not going to find the impact. It's all going to come from Aces instead, who finds the double on the Finka to obliterate the presence inside of the site. Still going to have top downs to contend against here as Ask is trying to find the winning angle to open up, and it'll be resets on an equal plane. He can only go 1 for 1, though, as Gisla hides behind. That plant sitting himself into a powerful position. He'll pick up one. Kadea will knock out one of the players from upstairs, and now only one remains and Ask for a 1v4 set against him. Wild are looking to continue their rampage from the previous map, but Ask is going to see if he can go for the clutch here. Quickly running out of time, however, things will look bleak for him as he attempts to go towards it. More than likely, we'll be looking at a 1-0 setup here for Wild.
Pretty difficult task, especially that upside down repel. The crossfire coming in as well. Wild taking absolutely no chances there. You don't need hard breach if you've got a plan like that. They got themselves straight in. And that, can we call that an effective use of Sense's curtain? Can we say that that worked out? It kind of did. Jay was able to sneak up out of nowhere. I've no idea why we didn't get the kills. Aces must have just been quicker to the draw. I mean,
pretty much.
He had the LMG, so he has the advantage there and just being able to dump rounds into the problem. Liquid, again, how many times do we think that they are going to get caught flat-footed like that? Because they look stunned again. They looked like, why are these guys pushing so quickly? It's like, you've seen them on Skyscraper.
The other thing too.
They're going to be quick.
Yeah, the other thing too, right, is they can't necessarily rely on that info. Yeah, they've been quick, but as you mentioned at one point during the Skyscraper match, they're really good at varying it as well.
Yeah.
We saw that mid-paced round at the beginning. They did have a few rounds where they slow-played it as well. So Liquid's just like a little bit lost right now, trying to figure out exactly what to expect on each round. And with these crazy strategies coming in, like the Sense play, bolstered by the Amaru coming in with the G8 as well, it's just so hard to predict when, and more importantly, where the executes from Wild are going to come from.
And then they just flip-flop right back. And all of a sudden it looks like we've got a really typical lineup for a Chalet. Yeah, you've got the Twitch that's thrown in there as maybe a little bit of an off-pick, but Twitch can be really handy for dealing with those bulletproof cameras, any little bits of utility. The shock drone's quite good in this current meta, so you're going to be looking to try and take a bit of advantage of that. You've got a ton of nades. You've got 8 nades knocking around. Like, this is a great lineup here. You don't really need too much more than a Maverick, especially when you're going to be attacking into bar and games.
So slow build up this time for Wild. Nice catch there as well, getting rid of the bulletproof, not going to allow them to play off of that later on into this round. These will continue to See if we can find other pieces of utility with that Twitch drone, specifically down below here. Don't want to get tripped up by anything as they try to move themselves into the site. If they can knock out things like the ADSs supporting the billiards hop in early on here, it'll just make that execute all that much easier for WYLDE to play into. And we can see, in fact, players already getting themselves prepped for this. A few just outside of the library windows looking to make their entry there. But as we've seen in so many of the past matches, oh no, this nade going in. Thankfully, the chassis still in the way there. So Reset's not going to be eaten up too heavily by that, but this is going to be an interesting one. PSK, though, from up on top, catches one. Aces with a quick response, and that's pretty much activated WYLDE. They don't have the setup they need anymore, so they're just going to go for it here, working their way in. It's worked out well so far, and Jay with a quick correction to save Ace's life as well. Knocks out at PSK and takes him down. Palu as well as Nesk, now the last two standing, and Palu already eliminated. It's just so...
It's deja vu of map number 1, and I honestly thought, and I don't know if part of me was maybe just hoping it because I really want Liquid to play well. Part of me thought, is it just Skyscraper, right? Are we just dealing with, you know, WYLDE have managed to sneak a map through that, you know, Liquid weren't really anticipating. But this is Chalet. This is a map that everybody plays. Everybody can play Chalet.
And WYLDE's going to continue to evolve their playstyle a little bit here. Still a lineup that we've seen in the past with a few variations to it that I think are going to make a few people at home happy. Geisla specifically going to be bringing the Glaz into the fold. So 5 seconds to wait for it to be confirmed, but WYLDE has not been really trying to trick us with these repicks at all so far in the series. So this one is more than likely going to land, and that will be more than likely we'll have WYLDE trying to prioritize a smoke execute while keeping the Glaz on the outskirts, either over by Snowmobile or in another position where he can use that long-range weapon to try and pick these players off through the smoke wall.
Also shields there getting set up outside of Garage, getting prepared for what is no doubt to come, which is going to be removal of the mute jammer, removal of the Cade, destroying that utility, and then looking to try and get it all open.
Ball might get this one, actually, yeah.
Oh, we did get a little bit of a trick there. We did have resets up on that top floor. There's a great little Cade claw spot just underneath that window. It's a bit of a pain to deal with as an attacker as well. You know, obviously, if you've got something like a Thatcher in the mix, easy street. But there is no Thatcher here. Just takes a little bit more time. You've delayed 50 seconds to a minute, but the breach has still been open and WYLDE have achieved that objective. Now they can look to start using this Glaz, and this is where things get a little bit scary.
The lost second hard breach is not going to be the end of the world here for WYLDE as well. That's the main wall they needed to get open on this round. Yeah, it'd be nice to have that second one in the pocket to maybe open up the backup line or something else for WYLDE, but they're not going to be losing any sleep over that extra one that was wasted due to the nice trick that came out from Team Liquid. Liquid's patience, though, paying off in this round as we are going to be able to see Ness catch Aces trying to move in to add himself over to a main stairs angle for the execute. That's now going to hold up the rest of the team's play more than likely as well, as they no longer have that second angle to support them as they move in. In fact, it's going to be working against them. Reset still playing on the main stairs, going to be standing directly in the way of this swing, so WYLDE can't really justify going for it right now. They're going to try and use the OSA shield to push them just that extra bit further, but the confidence is not here right now from WYLDE. The good news is, still a lot of time to find a way to get past as we're sitting over a minute remaining here. They're not at any stress for time just yet, and we're going to see Joy move in from the other, Jay move in rather, from the other side here to try and add another element to this if he can work himself over to that main stairs position.
Something that WYLDE needs to be cautious of here is that this whole plan hinges around smokes. They've lost all of their smokes now. They've used them and they haven't pushed off the back of it. There are still a couple of C4s knocking around here for Liquid. Nesk is going to get that trade off onto Jay, but not before Resets was downed on main stairs. It's likely not to matter at this point, though, as Ask is going to join the party as well from Blue. Corey, he's left quivering behind one of his OSA shields. 35 seconds left to go, and everybody knows where he is. C4 comes out. It's going to be Palu to swing with the shot.
Some pretty powerful positions to fend off these types of clears, so WYLDE more than likely going to need to commit multiple players to those types of plays in the future, meaning that they won't be able to go for these kind of all-in-one executes like we saw there outside of Snowmobile.
Let's see if that does something for the confidence on Liquid here, and really what it does to WYLDE. We've not seen them get beat down too much yet. We haven't seen them when, you know, they've just come off the back of a losing round, or they've just come off the back of a couple of rounds not going their way. Everything has gone their way so far, so we need to see what happens when they essentially get punched in the face. You know, what do? They get back up and they start swinging, or do they sort of just lie down and let things happen to them? So let's see how round number 4 plays out. Liquid, they're going to be going back down to Bar Games. Not a site that they were too successful in previously, but they really got overwhelmed quite quickly by WYLDE. struggled to keep control of key areas such as upstairs. They lost the downstairs to the Maverick. Essentially, kind of a bit of Maverick trick, really, on those main stairs, just opening up that bottom line. It's very Eminem-esque, seen from inside of EU. They really pioneered it inside of Challenger League, and a lot of teams have adopted it since. Slightly different approach this time from WYLDE. They're going to be bringing the Hibana. It's looking a little bit more traditional.
Huge emphasis on the nades again from WYLDE inside of this first minute of play, as they brought, I believe, 3 operators with the 2 nades in pocket, so a total of 6 to be chucked out. Most have actually already been used here. Aces sits with the only 1 remaining. Unfortunately, the damage just hasn't been there in the way that WYLDE would have liked for it to have been, with really the only impact being over there on the bottom left against Resets, knocking him down to about 50% of his health pool. There's going to be an attempt to try and open up the wall inside of Library, and Jay will attempt to push behind it, but it's going to be a 1-to-1 exchange here. Thankfully, WYLDE's able to overwhelm the Library position, and that's an important pickup there. Gisla catching Nesk as he attempts to really put down the execute before it begins inside of Library. It's going to cause Liquid to scramble back towards the site and try to put up their best defense now in the 3v4.
So much time here for WYLDE to work with as well. Just over half of the round remaining. He's going to be inside of the Library. Time enough to jump into the shock drone, see if there's any utility that he can discover, any information that he can gather, whilst the rest of his team looks to try and make waves elsewhere. And meanwhile, Liquid, they're left sweating on the site. It's a long time to be caught in that closet area. It's a long time to be playing a corner inside of games. And while there might be a couple of Toxic Babe canisters left, there's still more than enough time for those to get burned. Ace has got a really good angle here through the hatch inside a Library, knows that there's going to be a player down there inside a closet. Reset's just in the middle of bar, managing to find a great shot through the floor onto Gisla, the Twitch above, levels things out to 3 versus 3, but Palu is on the flank. Corey watching these main stairs. Could he get caught looking the wrong way here?
Kaneo ready for the peak, but unfortunately the player from Liquid doesn't fully commit to it, so not going to be able to lock in the kill just yet, but they do have some great intel now to play off of, especially if Kaneo is going to be able to stay in that position. Won't be the case, though. They'll start to move away from it, as does Aces, so they'll abandon the Library position entirely. Other player moving in from the basement stairs, but Aces goes for the check on the top down. It'll work out, catches him. Corey finds other entry deeper in the site as well. It finds Resets trying to move across the bar. Leaves it all on to Ask. Now, he'll get 1, but it's not enough as Ace...
Something that both Skyscraper and Chalet share in common is the fact that there's a lot of potential outside to in. You think about other maps, you think about something like Oregon, there's a couple of spots that you can get outside to win. Clubhouse, there's a couple of spots you get outside to win. But on Chalet, you can very often keep yourself on a balcony, outside of a window on Library, on a rappel, and you can be relatively safe. And that's something that we see WYLDE doing time and time again. Very often finding picks off it, and at least finding information and getting utility through on it as well. So they're not always putting themselves in those direct gunfights. Something that's really giving them a little bit of an edge here. And it's a classic trait from, you know, you see Team Liquid play Chalet in the very same way. It's no secret that that's how you play Chalet. It's just something that WYLDE are doing very well.
WYLDE as well seems to be really sure of themselves when it comes to the first minute or so of play. We have seen them slow down a little bit as Liquid has found a bit more success from their extended game inside of that mid-round portion. That's causing some delay for WYLDE, but the good news is they play out their early rounds so quickly that they're usually left with 2 minutes or more to play out the rest of the round, meaning that, as you were mentioning, all those concerns in the mid-round are usually a moot point because they just have so much additional time to deal with it, among other factors that usually end up playing into their favor. About to see the first push come in from WYLDE here as Reset's going to be trapped a little bit inside of the corner. Should be able to transition from behind the wall if he would like to, but at the same time, you've got Aces pressing in against the back of this hold as well, so Resets now needs to be very, very careful with his positioning. One wrong step in the wrong direction, and he'll be knocked out.
I like how the fact that Aces doesn't challenge that as well. Just immediately backs off. Sees, yeah, there's a little bit of resistance there. I don't really quite fancy taking the engagement. I've still got a nade left. I've still got a drone left to play. I'm not going to try and play that life all too heavily. And instead, we're going to start to switch things up, and we're going to start focusing elsewhere as a team. Jay in his prime favorite position there to hop himself up through the trophy hatch. Corey taking a lot of damage. PSK and Palu sharing a couple of kills there to start things off, but Jay storms on through. G8 in hand. The hatch open above could be a little bit of a problem, but the kills have immediately leveled out. WYLDE trading blow for blow. Again, the diffuser easily retrievable there by Jay, and with Liquid still upstairs, they're going to have to rely on either vertical angles or making that rotation to try and get themselves in. WYLDE have got full control of the site here, Blue. Jay's almost just deciding where and if he is going to plant. He knows that Liquid have that vertical control. There's a shotgun up there as well, so there's very quick access to a lot of holes and a lot of ability to shut a plant from going down. Gisla trying to get himself into position now as well, but there's still a minute left. It's a very strange predicament to be in here where the defenders are saying, look, go plant in the site, we've got a shot at you above, come and get us.
You've got to respect this boldness of play coming in from Wild as Jay finally gets a winning position where he can find a plant. They may be able to get a slight edge against him, but they're too focused on getting the Toxic Babes out right now to try and stop the plant. It will not work out. In fact, it goes down onto the ground, and Wild have it locked in. Liquid now need to make the play, but Jay all the much ready for it. Good news is Liquid will be able to maintain some control, but Isla knocking out a second member of the Liquid roster, leaves it all onto resets here in what is essentially a 1v2. There we go, confirms the third, brings it into the actual 1v2 now. Should have a good ability to creep up onto the player inside of Trophy, only just now catching the diffuser as well. Gonna try and just go directly for it. Where's the repeat? Do they have him? Gets him off the case at least, and Geisla sets himself up for the final kill as Wild continues to maintain control over the map and the series, surging ever further ahead of Liquid.
WYLDE did, still storming away with things here, entering round number 6, and where have we seen this scoreline before, Blue?
Very, very familiar sights right now here. The good news for Team Liquid is that they are going to be able to return to that basement hold, the only site where they've been able to find success so far in this map. WYLDE, we'll see if they go for the same jump-in strategy that we saw previously, although it does look like things are going to vary a bit more. We'll have the Amaru back in play. It's working out quite well for Jay, but he's ended up swapping away from that over towards the line. Things are quickly taking shape here for the WYLDE lineup on the final round of play for this half. We are going to end up with something a bit more normal to attack this site with. And that's a bit of a far cry from what we've usually been seeing from WYLDE, as they've been constantly surprising us with their strategy. I really have to respect the kind of ignorance to what is a normal rule of play in Siege, where you generally don't go for these types of sites when your opponents have an upstairs hold above you. You almost have to clear that out, it seems. It's just an unwritten rule of competitive Siege, but they violated that like 3 to 4 times now over the course of this series, and I believe have won every single time they've done it as well.
It's really strange, isn't it? It's like, oh, they're holding above, we better go above. And WYLDE just like, oh, they're holding above, we'll go below.
Yeah.
No worries.
That's not a problem for us.
Let's just attack where they're not.
Just like, plan under the bed.
Sounds easier. Sounds a lot easier to just go where they're not. Let's see if WYLDE are a little bit more successful here. They haven't got that same reliance on the smoke play coming off here. They've obviously not brought the glass, so they're not going to be looking to try and take too much advantage of that. Still going to have the Oster shields that they're going to be set up behind. It looks as though we could be seeing a quick execute come on through as Jay kicks things off with a kill over onto PSK. Plant already going down in typical WYLDE fashion as 2 kills have already flown in. Nesk, oh, you hate to see it. Geisla just holding the corner. Picks Nesk up on the retreat down into side. These aren't even gunfights, Blue. This is just absolute execution here from WYLDE. Ask, he's going to pick himself up one. The Lion Scan will give him away, and the call-outs as well. And look at the crossfire that's on his location. Picks himself up a second. Looks hopeful, but 20 seconds left on the clock. What realistically are you going to be able to do here when you are getting peppered? Ask gets a great headshot over onto Corey, and this must be where WYLDE start to panic ever so slightly, but the time is running extremely low. Ask, he keeps hitting shot after shot. That Oster shield is going to cause quite the problem for him, and he's likely going for impactless frags at this point. No longer is there enough time to disable that diffuser, and instead he can just look to try and pad his score sheet, picking himself up a quad, but it won't mean anything. Dangerous times ahead for Liquid. Fortunately for them, there is a lower bracket if things do come to it, but I didn't think what we must be only a couple of hours in at this point that I'd be talking about Liquid and a lower bracket in the same sentence. But WYLDE are very well posed right now. They've got a 4-round lead here, and they're looking to try and take Chalet in the same fashion they took Skyscraper. They already lead the best of 3 by 1 map. 2 rounds here would see it said and done.
Let's see how WYLDE is going to look to try and lock things down, just as they did on our previous map as well. Going to start out the usual beginning over here inside from our site to try and hold things, or rather the kitchen site, to try and hold things out for WYLDE. Interesting initial site choice, but I've already seen WYLDE depart from the normal expectations quite a few times inside of this series, so it'll be no surprise for us to see it once again. Operator lineup is going to be somewhat of what we expect, especially if your ace is there. We're going to stay quite mobile with the Oryx, able to hop himself up and down through the hatches if support is needed upstairs or down.
Liquid have got a chance to reset themselves here, switching over onto the attack. Got a little bit of a slower start here as Resets is likely going to try and nook himself in. There has been a bit of drone work that's gone on ahead of him, so he's going to have a rough idea as to what exactly is going to be clear, as this fact-finding stage of the round for Liquid is taking its time as Resets eventually transitions his way into Garage. Geisla primed and ready though, could get gifted to reset. It's a nice little gift there to drop on your lap. And Gisela, no real way of knowing exactly what was going on there. You're just making a quick rotation.
Just perfect timing more than anything for resets there. Walks right into Gisela as he's making that rotate. And as he said, is gifted that initial kill. So Liquid certainly going to be happy about it as they strike true at the beginning of this round to set up the 5v4. Resets also with now full control over the basement, meaning that WYLDE are going to have to watch out for that potential lurk to come in, of course, through the front stairs as well as the back ones at some point in this round here. Rest of Liquid looking to potentially move themselves in through the front door and eventually into library. Those will, or eventually into dining room. Those will have to wait and see exactly how they try to go for that over this next minute and a half of play. Meanwhile, WYLDE just continuing to keep their composure close to the site here, waiting for the next opportunity to strike on the defensive end.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Around a minute left, and we're going to start to see Asp getting that wall open again. Does actually get tricked off there for the meantime. Still have one left in pocket, so can look to wait for a little bit of backup here, and he's going to call for a nade from Palu to get sent over the top and just remove Corey's ability to be able to play there. Nice. Corey plays very well, though, and actually runs in toward the breach, knowing that the nade was going to explode behind. And that is going to make it very difficult, and I would dare say impossible, for Liquid to make their way through. No can opener and no alternate hard breach. It's not the problem you want to be facing with 40 seconds left, now being restricted to only pushing yourself through single doorways. Reset is still trying to fight his way out of this basement area, is taking a little bit of damage. Jay's got a horrible angle down onto him through the floor, really trying to make him work for every single pixel visible. Jay's eventually going to find that kill as Nesk swings on in upstairs, but it's a little bit too late. Resets has already been taken out there, and Palu has too fallen. Kills continue to rain on through as the ACS-12, you can just hear that ripping up your eardrums. It's going to be responsible for picking himself up. Another Aces is going to be holding on now. Got the trophy stairs, knows it's likely going to be a player that's looking to make that rotation down. As we see an Oryx dash on into sight, but the round again just fizzling out into not a lot.
So that's the penultimate round. It's been quite a while since, at least for my sake, I've been able to see him on a stage like this. So good to see him back and excelling as well. Looking to try and claim this stunning victory versus Team Liquid in what could very well potentially be a double 7-1, 2-0 knockout to send Liquid down to the lower bracket.
Well, there's been some stern words there between Team Liquid, I imagine, in that short break. Figuring out how they want to try and approach this. How do you solve the problem where you're coming up against a team that is just getting better timing than you, one step ahead at every turn, and there is nothing that you can do to stop it? You've got to try and gain some composure from somewhere. Is the Lion pick going to be that composure? Aces maybe looking to kick things off with a cheeky little spawn peek here, which, I mean, that would just almost cement it for me as just it's really not Liquid's day if they fall for that trick.
That's the tilter for Liquid if it hits true here. It does seem like Liquid's watching out for it, though, as they see the window get open quite quickly. So they'll be paying attention towards it. More than likely, Ace is not able to find much from that position, so he'll peel away from it pretty quickly and just go for the more standard hold inside of library, especially now that he hears the repels. His moment is gone, and he will have to fall back to that outer wall spot if he is going to play for the extension here, but that's not even the case. It's going to go even further away from that, as it looks like library was left completely unreinforced this time around.
Palu taking a lot of damage there as these kills do work from inside to out as well as outside to in. The Lion Scan not doing enough to deter half of his HP from disappearing before his very eyes. Resets, he's crouch walking himself in a fairly dangerous location. He's got himself at the bottom of West Main stairs. Jay gonna open things up with a kill onto Nesk, a player that just hasn't been activated yet at all. Sitting negative, double negative even, on the scoreboard right now. Resets maybe gonna find himself a little bit of success here. He knows that that drone has just been shot, so he knows that there's someone immediately behind the wall, but can you afford to take the 1v1 gunfight? Well, he takes it and he loses it.
Jay's been another player here that we haven't talked a whole lot about, but it's been the consistent rock inside of this series for WYLDE. Picking up the pretty crucial kills, too, as he's usually the first to strike in a lot of these situations. He was that Lion moving in from Car Garage in the previous round. Finally, Aces is going to be able to get himself inside of this puzzle as he knocks out PSK. 2 players standing here for Liquid. 5 still up for WYLDE. It's Palu and Az trying to clutch it out here and pick up the first of 5 rounds in a row that would now be needed for Liquid to get themselves back into this this map and, more importantly, into this series here. Palu going to see if anything presents itself on the top-down angle, but won't be the case. In fact, Wild are watching out for that if he tried to go for the push. Ask, in the meanwhile, is going to renegotiate his own position over here towards the outside of the snowmobile garage. They might be able to get a slight pinch onto the site as a result of this opening, but still, Palu doesn't have the best angle to work into this from, and also you'll start to see Wild reinforce their own positions here to try and avoid this fade.
Not going to be an easy task here for Palu and Ask to pull off. Got a couple of nades. They have a chance. You can hear that just get eaten up there by the ADS. Ask taking a huge amount of damage as well. Another ADS going on down. Jay, he picks himself up the third on the round onto Ask. This could be it for Wild. We could be staring at a flawless round. No, Jay gives himself away. It likely won't mean too much because that's the first that Palu needs to find out of many. The diffuser cold on the ground. 15 seconds left to go. And everybody knows he's going to be pushing these main stairs from blue. Corey shuts him down. Wild, what a performance there. They have demolished Liquid.
7-1 for the second map in a row. Wild more than earning their position in the winner's match here from Group A. They excel forward, barely struggling along the way, and it's all smiles across the